Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday evening. Great Thursday night football game in front of us right now between the Ravens and the Bengals. Two AFC North teams squaring off. The Ravens, the beneficiary of a tip drill that could have been picked by Lamar Jackson, or an interception that could have been thrown by Lamar Jackson, and Nelson Aguilar, right place, right time. Sometimes it is better to be lucky than to be good. Ravens lead 14-10 right now as we hit the 2-minute warning. Happy to have you guys in here for another episode of the Primetime Show. We are going to talk about the self-inflicted wounds of the Titans offense. Tim Kelly spoke about it earlier today, and you will hear from the Titans offensive coordinator as we get you through and to halftime of this Thursday night football game. We will ask you who you got between the Ravens and the Bengals. Looks like Jake Browning is going to go in at quarterback for Cincinnati. Joe Burrow currently in the locker room, so trailing now and without their star quarterback. I'll be curious to see how many of you still like the Bengals in this one. Before we do a weekend bounce back, because that's what we do on Thursday night. Need you guys to share the program around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, wherever you are hanging out with us. We'd be grateful for you sharing this broadcast. If you are on Twitter, please retweet the show. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you are on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That is in the bottom left. And if you're on YouTube or on Twitch, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we would be grateful for your participation that way. Tell a friend to do the same here on this Thursday night, and we'll talk a little Titans to get you through to the second half. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday evening from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by the great people at TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. Got my workout in at TrueMav today. You guys can get your first workout free at TrueMavFitness.com, the best workout in Middle Tennessee. The law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, wherever justice demands, Amanda J. and her team go above and beyond to protect your constitutional rights. Find out more information at AmandaJGentry.com. And Zen Sports, whether it's Thursday night football, college football, what little remains in the regular season, or basketball, hockey, your favorite major sports, your $1,000 no danger first wager is accessible when you plug in that promo code ATOZTN that you see behind me to get your $1,000 no danger first wager in the Zen Sports app. So Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator of the Titans, spoke today, and he spoke on a couple of different things. And the thing that I think a lot of people are going to harp on consistently outside of protect the quarterback at all costs is what can they do to improve this offensive line group? Well, that's a loaded question because there doesn't appear to be much that they can do right now, but it's not for a lack of trying. And certainly there are some things that can be addressed before this team goes to Jacksonville on Sunday. And so as you look at the current state of the Titans and how they're managing this thing and what the current offense looks like as we'll go through together, the question that I would ask you is this: how would you grade Tim Kelly through 9 games this season? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. A grade A through F for the Titans' first-year OC, or his first year at least as a Titans OC. Tim Kelly, who is managing this situation under Mike Vrabel, who replaced Todd Downing. How would you grade him with a grade of A through F? It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com, powered by Ford, driven by people. So D- for Beverly Tourtelet on Facebook Live. Stephen King goes even lower than low, an F-. A D+ for Justin on Facebook, a D for Nicole on YouTube. B+, says John Parker. He says that Tim Kelly has been better than Todd Downing. So, for reference, the Titans' offensive statistics in 2022 are worth taking a look at for a little bit of comparison shopping. Now, this is not a done deal yet in 2023. We know that there are still 8 games to play yet for this Tennessee Titans team, but we are going to take a look at how the Titans finished in 2022 as an offensive unit and compare it to what this group has been able to produce thus far this season. I've got a couple of numbers for you that are worth taking a look at, and we'll discuss together. But how would you grade Tim Kelly as an offensive coordinator in his first year for the Titans? A C- for Kevin Shaw, a D for B-Birds 18. I think that when you look at the offensive coordinator situation, before we go through these numbers together, I want you to hear from Tim Kelly on self-inflicted wounds. That was something that he brought up earlier today when he was asked about it at the Titans press conferences.
No, probably more self-inflicted when looking at it. Obviously, it's always going to be a combination of those two things. But we've got to do a better job of being able to stay on schedule and not have, whether it be a mental error or a mistake, be the reason for us getting behind the sticks. If it's we have a play called and it's a bad design, or we have a play called and we get beat, like that's a different deal. But we got to eliminate the self-inflicted wounds, and then being able to make plays when the ball finds us. And then I've got to do a better job on third down of continuing to get help to our guys on the edge to make sure that we have enough time to be on the move.
Overall, as you go across the league, red zone scoring itself is down. Like, as you're watching film, do you see that defenses are doing something different, or?
I can't speak league-wide. It certainly seems like there seems to be more zone down there than what we've seen in the past, which, as we know, in the red area, everything happens faster. The windows are smaller. They open and close quicker. So when you have more guys in coverage, that's my own personal theory. I don't know if there's any scientific data or anything to back that up.
So that's Titans OC Tim Kelly talking about self-inflicted wounds and a couple of different things. Going to read you some offensive statistics here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Go to truemathfitness.com, get your first workout free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, True Math is the best place for you. A new way to work out for the best version of you possible, truemathfitness.com. or True Math Fitness in the Gulch, where you can check out their awesome facility. So Tim Kelly right now is not been dealt the best hand, but it is his job to improve upon a situation that was pretty untenable last year. The Tennessee Titans finished the 2022 regular season averaging 17.5 points per game. In terms of points for, it was 28th in the league. In terms of points, in terms of yards, they were 30th in the NFL. It was a really, really poor unit. They had 28 touchdown passes to 9 interceptions. They were 30th in yards. They were 30th in attempts. They were 31st in first downs as an NFL team. Now, as we look at this season, have they improved at all? Well, in terms of points, they are again 28th, but excuse me, they are scoring fewer points per game through 9 games than the Tennessee Titans were in 2022. They're scoring only 17.1. They are currently 27th in yards, which is an improvement overall, and they have thrown 29 touchdowns, but they have thrown 29 touchdowns so far on the year. That's not an accurate statistic. I'm looking at the wrong number. They have thrown 7 touchdowns. Sorry about that. They have thrown 7 touchdowns to 8 interceptions on the season. It has been a bit of a slog for this team to accomplish. I apologize. I was looking at the wrong graphic there on Pro Football Reference. 7 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. They have had 5.5 net yards gained per pass attempt, which is down year over year from 5.8. The offense as a whole is worse, even if they're not worse outright in the standings. Jonathan Ertl says 29 touchdowns. LOL, we'd be undefeated. Yeah, sorry, I got caught up in the numbers on Pro Football Reference. There's a lot of stuff to like about what Tim Kelly has done this year, but the product is still worse. It's worse as a red zone offense. They don't score on opening possessions. They haven't done so all year long. They're a worse offensive line unit, which is almost impossible to imagine, but the statistics do bear that out. And they're sitting around looking for solutions where there's precious little to be found. So I do think that Tim Kelly has been given a bad hand here, but I do think that Tim Kelly has a lot to prove himself, because when it's this bad and when you can't score, all your problems are magnified. I don't think Tim Kelly is the problem. I think the offensive line group is the problem, but there is no question that they are not producing and they're in a really bad spot. Jonathan Ertl says that's just sad about the Titans' offensive statistics. Yeah, I would give Tim. It's hard for me to give Tim any better of a grade than a C minus. I really do think that you have to grade on a curve for how bad the offensive personnel is around the quarterback right now, and that they're getting the most out of the rookie quarterback right now is more than you can say. You know, the results are what the results are, so you can't. I mean, a C minus is a passing grade. Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe a D is more fair, because again, this group has really, really struggled, and the fact that they can't run the football at all is a real problem, especially when Derrick Henry is on your roster. It's going to be a fascinating. You guys are probably a little ahead of me on the broadcast. I got to Amazon Prime a little late, so I think my stream is slightly behind, but the Bengals getting ready to try and convert a 4th and 3 here at just over midfield. I don't know if they're going to actually, no, they're not actually going to snap that ball. They're going to take a penalty and punt. Ravens currently lead 14-10 right now with just a minute 38 left to go before the second half, or before halftime gets underway. So really tough for this Titans team to do much of anything. MB says it's the offensive line. It's hard to evaluate anything else until that gets fixed, and I do agree with that assessment. A to Z Sports Primetime is made possible by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Wherever justice demands, Amanda J. and her team have you covered. Defending Tennesseans in 35 counties, in criminal courts and family courts across 35 counties in the state of Tennessee. AmandaJGentry.com is where you go for more information. So as we pivot to what this Thursday night football game looks like, because excuse me, while the Titans are 3-6 and at the bottom of their division, they are technically not out of the race just yet. A win at Jacksonville would keep them alive. A loss at Jacksonville would obviously damn them. The Ravens would not outright eliminate the Bengals tonight, but they would put the Bengals in a similar situation to what the Titans are up against. And the Bengals, having already played more AFC North games than the Titans have played AFC South games, it is a pretty fascinating kind of comparison to look at. So who do you have in Thursday night football between the Bengals and the Ravens? We'll talk about it together in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. As we look at what the Titans are up against in Jacksonville, we know that they have a good defense, and that the defense has really been the more drastically improved unit between the two, I guess, including special teams in that conversation, between the offense and the defense anyway. Jacksonville is winning games more because the defense has improved, as opposed to the offense taking a step into, I think, a potentially top 10 group, the way that a lot of us thought the Jags might be able to field this year. Now, the offensive line in Jacksonville is also not very good, and there may be some favorable matchups for Jeff Simmons and Danico Autry and that Titans front to try and get right. But we know that the Jags defense is going to be better, has been better this year. I know the Niners just embarrassed them. But we know that the Jags defense is great against the run, and we know that the Titans are coming off a game where they haven't been able to run it at all. And it's crazy to me that Derrick Henry is second in the league in rushing this season. It really is a crime the way that they failed him this season with the lack of talent around him. But if they struggle again to run the football in Jacksonville on Sunday, we know the burden is going to be on Levis. And if you listen to the Greg Cosell podcast this week, you know that is not a small burden, though Levis seems to be managing it pretty well.
I think the first offensive coach I ever got the opportunity to talk to years and years and years ago, probably when I was a young man, Buck, was, he told me that you have no pass game if you can't protect.
Right.
It's a very simple but true point. And we saw what happened this past week with Levis. Boy, did he get hit a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny. With each game, obviously the statistics have been less, but I would say with each game, sort of my admiration for him has gone up as a potential quality NFL quarterback. Because look, that first game when he threw the 4 touchdowns, what did we say after that first game? I said that's not going to happen every week, so don't expect that. And then the second game where he really hung in there and stood in there and made some throws, and then this week where there were just too many plays where he had no chance.
Right. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. And basically, Greg, and you and I talked about this before we started recording, basically this is what we're going to do for the rest of the season, depending on how competitive the Titans end up, is looking at Will Levis and how he manages these situations week in and week out, because that's now what their season basically becomes. And
the second point, and of course that was the case this week, is a total inability to run the football. And if they can't do that at all, then it's really, really hard. I mean, again, no one's expecting Derrick Henry to go 25 for 150 every week. We're past that point. That's not going to happen. But what were the final numbers? I know at one point he was 11 for 25. Was that final?
Yeah, he ended up averaging 2.3 yards per carry.
Yeah, I mean, then it's just really too hard. And what happens is then you need players, and I hate to be cliched, but it is true. Then you need players to make plays. Like, for instance, the first play of the third quarter, when they come out with a shot play and he throws to Westbrook-Ikhine, which was a beautiful ball. He's got to catch that ball. I mean, right. I'm not saying it's a routine, easy catch. Okay. I don't want people to think, oh, what are you saying? But he's got to lay out and catch that ball. I mean, that in those kinds of games with the situation they're in, those plays have to be made.
Yeah. So we'll see how Levis manages if he does not have his run game as an asset against the Jags on Sunday. Bengals or Ravens tonight? I'd take the Ravens because Joe Burrow looks like he's going to miss substantial time. It's unfortunate for Bengals fans because it looks like they are probably going to miss the playoffs. Should this lead for Baltimore hold, we'll see what Jake Browning has in store for the Ravens defense, but it's a pretty tough task on the road to try and pull this thing off. Bengals have a lot of weapons on offense for sure, but Joe Burrow is certainly the thing that makes it go. William Jones says it's sad when it's offseason talk in November. Yeah, listen, it's sad talking about this shit when it's offseason talk in November. At least you guys can go on with your day. I'm stuck here in offseason purgatory until, such time as your football team improves. Anyway, speaking of improving, who needs a bounce back? In the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I think you guys know what my answer is going to be. We will take your answers as well right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by Zen Sports. A $1,000 no danger first wager is what waits for you in the Zen Sports app. So plug in that promo code ATOZTN, whether it's football, basketball, or hockey, all of your favorite major sports available right now to wager on in the Zen Sports app. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 or up in Tennessee to bet. Who needs a bounce back? Well, the Titans need a bounce back, but certainly nobody needs a bigger bounce back than the Titans' offensive line. Here was Dylan Radins speaking in the locker room earlier today about repping at left tackle this week.
Make it or break it. Like, we need to glue. We don't have any other option. Our backs are against the wall. So just having that mindset going forward and being able to just have the confidence going into the game and glue with the 5 guys that are out there during practice this week, and whoever gets thrown in there is going to be huge for us. And like I said, we feel like we have something to prove that we need to go out there and show it. And I think we're going to be able to do that. So
Dylan Radins certainly does have something to prove, especially given that on Monday, when asked about Radins at left tackle, Mike Vrabel made some comments that some of you might have thought were not fair. I think it's okay to be critical of Radins even though he was in a tough position, because frankly, they need better from him.
Protocol. Dylan finished the game there and moved around, and Dylan, admittedly wasn't up to the standard that we need, and he's played some good snaps for us. Jalen Duncan is available to potentially play or compete for an opportunity, and a couple guys on the practice squad.
So it's going to be Ravens on Sunday in Jacksonville, and we'll see how that experiment goes. Okay. That's going to do it for us tonight here on the Primetime Show. Enjoy the second half of Ravens and Bengals. Hopefully the game remains competitive. I know Bert is back there stressing, so we will relieve him of his duty, and he can go on and enjoy himself as he stress smokes all the cigarettes to try and get through a Thursday night football game. We will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on the radio show. Titans are apparently making some big stadium announcement at Nissan Stadium at 10 a.m. So that's probably how we'll open the show, and we'll go from there. Have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy the football. I'll talk to you Sunday night in Jacksonville here on the Primetime program.